What if you possessed the world's wisdom? Imagine the knowledge, the understanding, the ability to unravel life's mysteries. Such wisdom could elevate you to unimaginable heights. But there's a flip side. What if such wisdom came with a heavy price? What if it magnified your weaknesses, making you vulnerable to temptations you never anticipated? This is the story of King Solomon, a man who tasted both the sweetness and bitterness of profound wisdom. Solomon's life is a captivating tapestry woven with threads of wisdom, power, love, and ultimately, tragedy. His story, enshrined in the pages of the Bible, continues to resonate across millennia. It serves as a potent reminder that wisdom, while a powerful tool, is not a shield against human fallibility. We are drawn to Solomon's story because it mirrors our own human experience. We yearn for wisdom, hoping it will guide us to make sound choices, navigate complexities, and lead fulfilling lives. Yet, like Solomon, we discover that wisdom doesn't exempt us from the human condition. We are all susceptible to temptations, prone to errors in judgment, and capable of profound contradictions. Solomon's journey began with a divine encounter. Ascending to the throne after his father, King David, Solomon found himself at a crossroads. God, appearing to him in a dream, offered him anything his heart desired. Wealth, power, long life, all lay within his grasp. But Solomon, displaying a wisdom that would define his reign, chose a different path. He requested wisdom, the ability to discern right from wrong, to govern with justice and understanding. This request pleased God, who granted Solomon not only wisdom beyond measure, but also the riches and honor he had not sought. Solomon's reign, fueled by divine wisdom, flourished. He became renowned throughout the land for his just rulings, his ability to resolve complex disputes, and his profound understanding of human nature. Under Solomon's rule, Israel experienced an unprecedented era of peace and prosperity. He expanded the kingdom's borders, forged alliances with neighboring nations, and oversaw the construction of magnificent structures, including the First Temple in Jerusalem. His wisdom became legendary, attracting scholars and seekers of knowledge from distant lands, eager to learn from the wisest man alive. Solomon's wisdom found its most enduring expression in the Book of Proverbs, a collection of pithy sayings and moral teachings that offer timeless guidance on a wide range of human experiences. These proverbs, passed down through generations, continue to provide valuable insights into the nature of wisdom, righteousness, and the pursuit of a meaningful life. From the importance of humility and diligence to the dangers of pride and deceit, Proverbs offers a practical roadmap for navigating the complexities of life. Solomon's words, imbued with keen observation and deep understanding, transcend cultural and temporal boundaries, speaking to the universal truths of the human condition. Proverbs is a testament to Solomon's ability to distill complex ideas into memorable and actionable advice. His words are like polished gems, reflecting profound truths in a concise and impactful manner. They challenge us to examine our motives, to consider the consequences of our actions, and to strive for righteousness in all aspects of life. However, Solomon's life, like the intricate tapestry it was, held a stark contrast. Despite his unparalleled wisdom, Solomon's life was also marked by a profound paradox. The very wisdom that brought him fame and adulation also illuminated a fundamental human truth. Even the wisest among us are not immune to the allure of temptation or the perils of our own desires. Solomon, who so eloquently extolled the virtues of righteousness and self-control, would succumb to the same human weaknesses he warned against. His life became a cautionary tale, demonstrating that wisdom, while a powerful tool, is not a guarantee against moral failings. This paradox lies at the heart of Solomon's story, making it both relatable and enduring. It reminds us that wisdom is not about achieving perfection, but about navigating the complexities of life with humility, self-awareness, and a constant need for moral grounding. Section 5. The seductive power of love and its consequences. One of the most striking contradictions in Solomon's life was his complex relationship with love and marriage. The same king who penned the Song of Songs, a poetic celebration of romantic love, would amass a harem of hundreds of wives and concubines. This seemingly contradictory aspect of Solomon's life reveals a man torn between his wisdom and his desires. While the Song of Songs celebrates the beauty and intensity of romantic love, Solomon's own marital life became a tangled web of political alliances, personal desires, and spiritual compromise. His many wives, hailing from different cultures and religious backgrounds, would eventually lead him down a dangerous path, away from the God who had bestowed upon him such profound wisdom. This exploration of Solomon's relationships, particularly his marriages, will reveal the seductive power of love and its potential to both elevate and corrupt, even the wisest of hearts. It underscores the timeless truth that love, while a powerful force for good, can also blind us to danger and lead us astray from our values and principles. The weight of legacy. Stepping into King David's shoes. Imagine a young Solomon inheriting a kingdom forged in the fires of war and ambition. His father, the legendary King David, had united the tribes of Israel, establishing a powerful dynasty. David's reign, while marked by military triumphs and spiritual fervor, was not without its shadows. Internal strife, family feuds, and the consequences of David's own human frailties cast a long shadow over Solomon's ascension to the throne. The weight of legacy, the burden of expectation, rested heavily on Solomon's shoulders. He was acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead, maintaining unity among the tribes, consolidating his father's conquests, and proving himself a worthy successor to a king revered as a man after God's own heart. Solomon, unlike his battle-hardened father, was not a warrior king. He inherited a kingdom on the cusp of greatness, but its foundations were still fragile, vulnerable to both internal and external threats. His reign would require not the might of the sword, but a different kind of strength, the strength of wisdom, diplomacy, and an ability to navigate the complexities of leadership. A young king's humility, recognizing the need for guidance. Despite his lineage and the power he now wielded, Solomon approached his kingship with a remarkable degree of humility. He recognized the enormity of the task before him and understood that his own human understanding was insufficient. This humility, this willingness to acknowledge his own limitations, would become one of Solomon's greatest strengths, setting the stage for a reign marked by wisdom and divine favor. In the quiet of his heart, Solomon sought guidance, not from seasoned advisors or military strategists, but from a higher power. He understood that true leadership flowed not from brute force or cunning manipulation, but from a deep connection to the divine, from aligning his will with the will of God. This recognition of his need for divine guidance distinguished Solomon from other rulers of his time. It was a testament to his character, his understanding that true power lay not in asserting his own will, but in surrendering to a wisdom that transcended human understanding. The answer to Solomon's prayers came in a manner both profound and unexpected. In a dream, God appeared to Solomon, offering him a blank check, so to speak. "Ask what I shall give you," God commanded. Imagine the possibilities swirling in Solomon's mind. He could have asked for anything: unimaginable wealth, a life that stretched on for centuries. Yet Solomon, in a moment that would define his legacy, made a request that echoed through the corridors of history. "Give your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, to discern between good and evil," he pleaded. Solomon's request revealed the depth of his wisdom, his understanding that true power lay not in material possessions or military might, but in the ability to rule with justice, compassion, and discernment. God, pleased by Solomon's humility and the wisdom of his request, granted him not only an understanding heart, but also the riches and honor he had not sought. "I have given you a wise and discerning heart," God declared, "so that there has never been anyone like you before you, nor will there be anyone like you after you." With God's blessing and the gift of wisdom as his guide, Solomon embarked on his reign. Israel, under his rule, flourished as never before. Peace and prosperity reigned throughout the land. Solomon's wisdom became legendary, attracting scholars, rulers, and seekers of knowledge from distant lands, all eager to witness the king whose judgments were said to be infused with divine insight. He oversaw the construction of magnificent cities, expanded the kingdom's borders through diplomacy and trade, and established a system of justice renowned for its fairness and impartiality. Solomon's reign became a beacon of enlightenment, a testament to the transformative power of wisdom when applied to matters of governance, justice, and human relations. The stories of Solomon's wisdom spread far and wide. People marveled at his ability to resolve complex disputes, to see through deception, and to offer counsel that was both insightful and compassionate. His reign became a golden age for Israel, a time of peace, prosperity, and unprecedented cultural and intellectual growth. Yet, even as Solomon's star ascended, a subtle shift began to occur. The very gifts that had elevated him, his wisdom, his wealth, his power, also became the seeds of his eventual downfall. As Solomon's fame grew, so too did the whispers of temptation, the allure of worldly pleasures, and the intoxicating feeling of unchecked power. The Book of Proverbs, a collection of Solomon's wise sayings, is filled with warnings against the dangers of pride, the seductive nature of wealth, and the pitfalls of unchecked desire. Ironically, these very warnings, born out of Solomon's own God-given wisdom, would foreshadow the challenges he himself would face as his reign progressed. The seeds of discord were subtle at first, like cracks appearing in a seemingly impenetrable fortress. The more Solomon achieved, the more he acquired, the greater the temptation to believe in his own invincibility, to lose sight of the source of his wisdom and the principles that had guided his early reign. A King's Burden, the Price of Wisdom. Solomon's story serves as a poignant reminder that wisdom, while a precious gift, is not a shield against the complexities of the human experience. The weight of his responsibilities, the constant demands on his time and attention, began to take a toll. The very wisdom that had brought him such acclaim also made him acutely aware of the fleeting nature of life, the inevitability of decay and death. This awareness, while insightful, could also be a heavy burden, casting a shadow of melancholy over even his greatest achievements. The Book of Ecclesiastes, traditionally attributed to Solomon, reflects this struggle, a search for meaning in a world where everything seems transient, where even the pursuit of wisdom can lead to a sense of disillusionment. Solomon's story, in this early stage of his reign, is a tapestry of both triumph and foreshadowing. We see a king blessed with unparalleled wisdom, leading his people to greatness, yet we also sense the subtle undercurrents of temptation, the ever-present potential for even the wisest of hearts to stray from the path of righteousness. Proverbs as a reflection of Solomon's gift. The Book of Proverbs stands as a testament to Solomon's God-given wisdom. Imagine Solomon reflecting on his experiences, the lessons learned, the mistakes made. Proverbs is a collection of pithy sayings, poetic observations, and practical advice. Each proverb is like a drop of water from a deep well, refreshing the soul. The fear of the Lord, the foundation of true wisdom. At the heart of Solomon's wisdom lies a profound understanding of humanity's relationship with the divine. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, he writes, emphasizing that true wisdom flows from a place of reverence, humility, and an acknowledgement of a power greater than ourselves. This fear is not about cowering in terror, but rather about approaching life with a sense of awe, recognizing that our choices have consequences and that we are accountable for our actions. It is about aligning our will with the will of God, seeking His guidance in all that we do. For Solomon, wisdom is not merely an intellectual pursuit, but a spiritual practice, a way of life rooted in a deep and abiding relationship with the Creator. It is through this relationship that we gain true understanding, the ability to discern right from wrong, and the strength to resist the temptations that lead us astray. Wisdom for daily life. navigating relationships, work, and temptation. Proverbs is not a lofty philosophical treatise, but rather a practical guide for daily living. Solomon's wisdom touches on every aspect of human experience, from the importance of honesty in business dealings to the dangers of gossip and slander. He offers advice on choosing friends wisely, managing anger, and avoiding the pitfalls of temptation. His words are like signposts along a winding road, warning us of potential dangers, encouraging us to stay the course, reminding us that even small choices can have significant consequences. Solomon's insights into human nature are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. He understood that the human heart, with its capacity for both great love and profound selfishness, has remained remarkably unchanged throughout history. Whether we are facing a difficult decision at work, navigating the complexities of a romantic relationship, or simply trying to resist the temptation to indulge in unhealthy habits, Proverbs offers timeless guidance for living a life of integrity, purpose, and fulfillment. The power of Proverbs. Timeless truths for the modern world. Solomon's words call us to slow down, to think before we act, to consider the long-term consequences of our choices. In a world that often celebrates superficiality and self-promotion, Proverbs reminds us of the enduring value of humility, integrity, and compassion. Despite the passage of centuries, the truths embedded within Proverbs retain their potency, their ability to pierce through the distractions of modern life and speak directly to the human heart. They remind us that while times may change, the fundamental principles of wisdom, righteousness, and the pursuit of meaning remain constant. As we integrate the wisdom of Proverbs into our lives, we discover that these ancient teachings are powerful tools for navigating the complexities of the 21st century. A father's heart, guiding principles for family and legacy. Woven throughout Proverbs are threads of paternal wisdom, reflections on the importance of family, the responsibility of raising children, and the legacy we leave behind. Solomon stresses the importance of discipline, not as a form of punishment, but as a loving act that guides children toward wisdom and maturity. He encourages parents to instill in their children a love for learning, a respect for hard work, and a deep-seated understanding of right and wrong. Solomon's words serve as a reminder that the greatest inheritance we can bestow upon our children is not material wealth, but rather a strong moral compass and the tools to navigate life with integrity and purpose. His teachings on family life extend beyond the parent-child relationship. For Solomon, a thriving family, rooted in love, mutual respect, and shared values, is the bedrock of a strong and prosperous society. The pitfalls of pride. Warnings against arrogance and self-deception. One of the most recurring themes in Proverbs is the danger of pride. Solomon warns against the arrogance that blinds us to our own faults, the self-righteousness that prevents us from seeking forgiveness and extending grace to others. For Solomon, humility is about recognizing that our gifts are given to us, not earned, and that true greatness lies in using our talents to serve others. Proverbs reminds us that pride, often disguised as confidence or ambition, can distort our perceptions, poison our relationships, and lead us down a path of isolation and regret. The allure of folly. Recognizing the seductive nature of sin. Solomon, despite his wisdom, was no stranger to temptation. Proverbs is replete with warnings against the allure of folly, the seductive nature of sin, and the ease with which we can be led astray from the path of righteousness. He describes the path of folly as a seductive but ultimately destructive one, leading to pain, regret, and brokenness. Solomon's words serve as a sobering reminder that sin, while often appealing in the moment, always carries a high cost, not only for ourselves, but also for those we love. Proverbs challenges us to be vigilant, to recognize the subtle ways in which temptation can present itself, often disguised as something desirable or harmless. Wisdom's enduring legacy. Proverbs as a beacon for generations to come. The Book of Proverbs stands as a timeless testament to the enduring power of wisdom. Solomon's words, though spoken thousands of years ago, continue to resonate with readers across cultures and generations. Proverbs is more than just a collection of wise sayings. It is a call to action, an invitation to embrace a life of purpose, integrity, and service. As we conclude our exploration of the influence of wisdom in Proverbs, let us carry with us the words of Solomon, not as mere words on a page, but as living, breathing truths that have the power to transform our lives. The tale of Solomon presents a poignant paradox. A man renowned for his wisdom, yet susceptible to the same human frailties he so eloquently cautioned against. Despite his deep understanding of righteousness and divine law, Solomon harbored a fatal flaw, a weakness for the allure of romantic love, a vulnerability that would ultimately lead him down a path of compromise and spiritual ruin. Even the wisest among us can be swayed by desire and led astray by the very things we believe we can control. Solomon's life compels us to confront our own vulnerabilities, to acknowledge that even the most enlightened minds can succumb to the temptations that tug at the edges of our better judgment. As Solomon's fame spread, so too did his desire for companionship and alliances. Kings and rulers from distant lands, eager to forge alliances with the wisest man alive, offered their daughters' hands in marriage. Solomon, intrigued by their diverse cultures and backgrounds, allowed his heart to be swayed by political expediency and the excitement of forming new alliances. He amassed a court of unprecedented size, taking wives from nations that did not share Israel's faith, women who brought with them their own customs and beliefs. This insatiable desire for forming alliances, however, would prove to be a double-edged sword, opening the door to the creeping influence of idolatry, a poison that would slowly erode the foundations of his faith. Solomon's foreign alliances, while initially a source of fascination and delight, gradually began to exert a subtle but powerful influence over his heart. Solomon, blinded by his affection for them, allowed shrines and altars to be erected within Jerusalem, places where incense burned and prayers were offered to gods other than Yahweh, the God of Israel. What began as small concessions, gestures meant to appease his advisors and maintain harmony within his sprawling household, gradually chipped away at Solomon's own faith. The whispers of idolatry grew louder, weaving their way into the fabric of his life, his kingdom, and ultimately, his soul. The price of compromise. Solomon's drift from righteousness. As Solomon's heart drifted further from God, his wisdom, once a shining beacon, began to dim. The clarity of judgment, the unwavering commitment to justice and righteousness that had characterized his early reign, became clouded by compromise and distractions. Solomon, the builder of the temple, now allowed himself to be drawn into practices that were not pleasing to God. The consequences of his choices were not immediate, but they were no less devastating. His story is a poignant reminder that compromise is a slippery slope, a gradual erosion of values and principles that can lead even the most devout hearts astray. A kingdom divided, the seeds of discontent. The spiritual challenges that had affected Solomon's heart gradually spread throughout his kingdom. The people, witnessing their king's embrace of foreign customs and his increasing appetite for luxury and self-indulgence, began to grumble. The seeds of discontent, sown in the fertile ground of Solomon's compromise, began to take root, their tendrils reaching into every corner of the kingdom. The heavy taxes levied to support Solomon's lavish lifestyle and ambitious building projects fueled resentment. Solomon's spiritual infidelity had not only fractured his relationship with God, but had also sown the seeds of division within his own kingdom. The legacy of a broken heart, a cautionary truth for wisdom and temptation. Solomon's story, in its tragic arc, offers a profound meditation on the nature of wisdom, the complexities of the human heart, and the enduring power of making good choices. It is a tale that continues to resonate across millennia, reminding us that even the most gifted individuals are not immune to making mistakes or the consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. He is remembered as the builder of the temple, the author of Proverbs, a king whose wisdom surpassed all others. Solomon's story serves as a cautionary tale, urging us to approach life with a balance of wisdom and humility, recognizing that even the most brilliant minds can be susceptible to making poor decisions. A slow and silent poison. The insidious nature of idolatry. Idolatry, in its essence, is a subtle and insidious force. For Solomon, the influence of idolatry was introduced through the seemingly benign presence of his foreign visitors. Their customs, their traditions, their heartfelt devotion to their own gods, all of these elements, initially tolerated out of respect and a desire for harmony, gradually wormed their way into the fabric of Solomon's life. This gradual normalization of the foreign, the subtle blurring of boundaries between the sacred and the profane, is the insidious nature of idolatry. It begins with a seemingly harmless compromise, a concession made in the name of respect or political expediency. But compromise, like a crack in a dam, can quickly widen, allowing a torrent of doubt, compromise, and ultimately spiritual ruin to flood in. The blinding power of love. Solomon's affectionate blind spot. Love in its purest form is a reflection of the divine, a force that binds, heals, and elevates. However, love can also blind us, distorting our perceptions, leading us to rationalize away red flags and ignore warning signs. Solomon's love for his friends and companions, while undoubtedly genuine, became an intoxicating elixir, clouding his judgment, making him vulnerable to the attractive whispers of idolatry. He saw their devotion to their beliefs not as a threat to his own faith, but as an expression of their cultural heritage, something to be respected, even accommodated. He failed to grasp the jealous nature of Yahweh, a God who demanded exclusivity, who warned his people time and again against the dangers of dabbling in the worship of other deities. The crumbling altar, neglecting the one true God. As Solomon's focus shifted to other interests, his devotion to Yahweh waned. The altar of his heart became cluttered with idols, a spiritual compromise. The temple's spiritual potency faded, overshadowed by foreign shrines. The human heart, while capable of immense love and devotion, is also susceptible to division, to harboring conflicting loyalties. Solomon, despite his wisdom, was not immune to this internal struggle. He found himself torn between his responsibilities as a leader and his duty to Yahweh, between the appeal of foreign customs and the dictates of his own faith. This internal division manifested itself in a half-hearted approach to worship, a spiritual lukewarmness that grieved the God who had once declared him a man after his own heart. Solomon's prayers, once fervent and filled with the certainty of God's presence, became rote, lacking the strong conviction of true communion. His attempts to straddle the fence between Yahweh and the gods of other nations were doomed to fail. Yahweh, a jealous God, would not share his glory with others. The spiritual unfaithfulness that Solomon had embraced, while perhaps motivated by a desire for peace, was, in God's eyes, a betrayal of the covenant, a transgression with far-reaching consequences. God, in his infinite mercy, rarely allows his children to stray too far without sending messengers to call them back to the path of righteousness. In Solomon's case, the messenger came in the form of the prophet Ahijah, a man chosen by God to deliver a message of both warning and judgment. Ahijah's message was stark, devoid of the poetic imagery or symbolic language often employed by prophets. He spoke plainly, directly, outlining the consequences of Solomon's actions. The kingdom, once united and blessed under Solomon's wise rule, would be torn apart, ripped from the hands of his descendants. The peace and prosperity that had characterized his reign would give way to strife and division. Solomon, accustomed to the deference of kings and the admiration of scholars, now found himself confronted by a power greater than his own, a power that did not shrink back from his royal authority or tremble before his worldly wisdom. Ahijah's message was a bitter pill to swallow, a stark reminder that even the wisest of kings are subject to the judgment of God. The story of Solomon's downfall, his descent from wisdom and divine favor into poor choices and compromise, echoes the Exodus generation who, delivered from Egypt, wandered for 40 years, their hearts hardened, their faith tested. Like Solomon, the Israelites witnessed Yahweh's power, who parted the Red Sea, rained down manna, and led them by a pillar of fire. Yet, they turned to idols, their hearts away from God. These narratives remind us that human nature, susceptible to temptation, transcends time. Idolatry's power ensnares even devout hearts, leading them away from true life, into a barren wasteland of spiritual compromise. The story of Solomon's spiritual decline, while undeniably tragic, is not devoid of hope. Even amidst the ruins of his compromise, the broken shards of his once vibrant faith, we can discern a glimmer of redemption. The very fact that his story is recorded in Scripture, that his failings are laid bare for all to see, speaks to the possibility of learning from his mistakes, of avoiding the pitfalls that ensnared such a wise and gifted king. Solomon's story, in its raw honesty, serves as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that wisdom, while a precious gift, is not a guarantee against spiritual shipwreck. It underscores the importance of guarding our hearts against the subtle appeal of compromise, of recognizing that even the smallest concessions, made in the name of convenience or haste, can have far-reaching consequences. While Solomon's reign ultimately ended in judgment and division, his story, passed down through generations, carries within it the seed of redemption, the potential for us to learn from his mistakes, to choose a different path, and to walk in a manner worthy of the God who alone deserves our unwavering devotion. From the weighty pronouncements of Proverbs and the sobering narrative of Solomon's decline, we now turn to a different kind of text, Song of Songs, a collection of heartfelt poems attributed to the wisest of kings. This shift in tone and genre can feel surprising, even refreshing, like stepping from a solemn temple into a lush garden brimming with fragrant blossoms and the joyful buzz of nature. Gone are the pithy sayings and moral exhortations, replaced by vivid imagery, metaphors, and a celebration of friendship and love in all its beauty. The language itself is different, lyrical, evocative, pulsating with a raw energy that feels both ancient and timeless. This sudden shift invites us to consider a different facet of Solomon's character, to glimpse beneath the surface of the wise king and discern the heart of a poet, a friend, a man deeply attuned to the complexities of human connection. Song of Songs, while often interpreted allegorically, offers a window into the human experience of love, longing, and the joyful union of hearts and minds. Song of Songs is not a linear narrative, but rather a tapestry woven from fragments of conversations, dreams, and desires. We hear the voices of friends, a man and a woman, expressing their admiration, their delight in one another's company, their frustrations, and the joy of their friendship. The poem's imagery is drawn from the natural world, vineyards, gardens, fountains, doves, creating a sense of lush abundance, a reflection of the overflowing emotions that characterize deep connections. The friends praise one another's attributes, eyes like doves, hair like a flock of goats, celebrating the beauty of the human spirit and the joy of close companionship. Yet Song of Songs is not merely a celebration of friendship. Interspersed with the joyful exchanges are expressions of longing, jealousy, and the fear of loss. The friends speak of the pain of separation, the frustration of unrequited feelings, and the bittersweet realization that even the most ardent connections are subject to the passage of time. This interplay of joy and sorrow, fulfillment and longing, adds a layer of complexity and realism to the poem's portrayal of deep human connections. Echoes of Solomon, discerning the king's voice in the song. While the voices we hear in Song of Songs are primarily those of the main characters, there are moments when a third voice seems to emerge. A voice that speaks with the wisdom and authority of a king. a voice that echoes the insights found in Proverbs and the thoughtful reflections of Ecclesiastes. Some scholars believe this voice to be that of Solomon himself, reflecting on his own experiences with leadership, relationships, and the complexities of life. This interpretation adds a layer of depth to the poem, suggesting that even a king renowned for his wisdom and wealth could not escape the realities of human emotions, its power to both uplift and challenge. If we accept the premise that Solomon is, in some ways, reflecting on his own life through the song, the poem takes on a new dimension. It becomes a meditation on the nature of human experience, the tension between the pursuit of wisdom and the challenges of everyday life, and the enduring power of human connections to both inspire and challenge. The complexity of desire, love's power to elevate and corrupt. Solomon's life, as we have seen, was marked by a complex relationship with desire. His pursuit of wisdom, his thirst for knowledge, and his ambition to build a glorious kingdom. All of these pursuits, while not inherently wrong, became entangled with a darker impulse, an insatiable desire for more, a restless longing that could never be fully satisfied. Song of Songs, in its exploration of love, touches on this same tension, the way in which desire, while a powerful force for good, can also lead us astray. The characters' pursuit of one another, their longing for connection, mirrors Solomon's own insatiable desire for knowledge, power, and ultimately, the admiration of many. The poem, through its vivid imagery and emotionally charged language, reminds us that desire is a double-edged sword. It can inspire us to great heights, fueling creativity, passion, and a deep appreciation for beauty. But it can also consume us, leading to obsession, jealousy, and ultimately, a sense of emptiness and disillusionment when our desires are not fulfilled, or when we mistake fleeting pleasures for lasting fulfillment. Beyond the personal, interpreting the song's deeper symbolism. While Song of Songs can be read as a celebration of love and friendship, it has also been interpreted allegorically throughout history, its verses imbued with deeper, symbolic meanings. Jewish tradition often views the poem as an allegory for the love between God and Israel, the deep connection of a people with their divine guide. Christian tradition, particularly in the writings of the early church fathers, saw in Song of Songs a foreshadowing of the love between Christ and his followers, a love that transcends the physical realm and finds its ultimate fulfillment in spiritual union. These allegorical interpretations, while not universally accepted, highlight the enduring power of Song of Songs to speak to the human longing for something beyond ourselves, for a love that is both deeply personal and eternally significant. Whether we read the poem as a celebration of earthly love or as an allegory for a more transcendent reality, Song of Songs invites us to contemplate the nature of desire, the complexities of the human heart, and the enduring power of love in its many forms. Solomon's story is a study in contrasts, a reminder that wisdom does not render us immune to human perils. He began his reign with humility, seeking wisdom above all else. God granted him wisdom, riches, and honor. Yet, within this abundance, the seeds of Solomon's downfall were sown. Success can be an attractive temptress, leading to complacency. Solomon drifted from the principles that guided his early reign. This shift marked the beginning of his descent from wisdom's heights. Affluence, while often perceived as a blessing, can also become a blinding glare, obscuring our vision, distorting our priorities, and making it difficult to discern what truly matters. Solomon, in his quest to build a glorious kingdom, gradually lost sight of the spiritual foundations. The pursuit of material wealth can become an all-consuming obsession, a bottomless pit that can never be filled. True fulfillment comes from meaningful relationships, a connection to something larger than ourselves, and the pursuit of a life that reflects our deepest values. Compromise, like a slow-acting poison, erodes our integrity, chips away at our values, and leaves us with a legacy far from what we envisioned. Solomon, in his desire to please his foreign wives, tolerated idols, compromising his faith. The danger of compromise lies in its seductive nature. It begins with small concessions, leading us far from righteousness. Each compromise chips away at our integrity, making it easier to justify the next betrayal. Solomon's story reminds us that our legacies are defined by our choices and values. Compromise always comes at a cost to our integrity, relationships, and souls. The tragedy of Solomon's story lies not only in his downfall, but also in the fact that he possessed the wisdom to avoid it. Embedded within the pages of Proverbs are warnings against the very temptations that ensnared him. Solomon understood the high cost of compromise, the seductive nature of affluence, and the danger of allowing our hearts to drift from true wisdom. His story is a testament to the enduring power of redemption. There is always a path back to wisdom's embrace. It begins with humility, acknowledging our mistakes, and seeking forgiveness and restoration. Wisdom is a lifelong pursuit of aligning our hearts with God's will. May we have the wisdom to learn from His mistakes.